UMIDIGI just released their brand new A15T phone not too long ago, and in this video I'm going to be going over everything there is to know about this phone, so by the end of this video you'll know whether or not it's right for you. Now this phone is priced around $166, so it might be the perfect budget phone for you. Stick around until the end of the video and I'll let you know what I think. And if you guys want to pick it up, I will be putting product links in the video description. And I also want to let you know that this was sent out to me so I could do this review, but everything I'm going to be going over are my own words and honest opinions. So here is the phone itself. I'll put that off to the side for just a second. It also comes with a kind of smoke colored TPU case, which is nice. That'll protect the phone. Here's our manual. It also comes with a SIM ejection tool, and it looks like a USB Type A to USB Type C cable, which is red. And it also comes with an 18-watt power adapter that uses USB Type A. So here is the phone itself. It has a little bit of a weight to it. It is made of all plastic on the back and on the sides, but it feels nice in the hand. It does seem to have a pre-built-in screen protector as well. You can see the cutouts on the top there. Screen does have a slight bit of resistance to it. It's not smooth like the glass that's on the phone, but let's start it up. So while it's booting up, let me tell you about some of the specs of the phone. It does have 16 gigabytes of RAM. It's got 128 gigabytes of storage, which can be expanded up to 1 terabyte using a micro SD card. And it's also got a 5000 milliamp hour battery with 18-watt fast charging. The A15T also has a 12 nanometer MediaTek Helio G9 chipset that delivers excellent performance in CPU-intensive 3D games while still remaining highly power efficient to extend the battery life. And this is bolstered by the very capable ARM Mali G76 MC4 GPU. The MediaTek Helio G95 further accelerates data processing and maximizes performance in everyday tasks. And you'll definitely see how well these two chips perform on this phone later on in the video when we test out gaming. So let me go through the setup process real quick and we'll be right back. So now the phone's been all set up, but before we go in, I want to show you what the fingerprint situation is like with this screen protector and tell you a little bit more about the display. Now the screen itself does not have any tap to wake feature, but if you lift up the phone and look at it, the screen will turn on and it'll use its Face ID, or you can use the fingerprint sensor that's built into the power button on the side. So already you can see that there is some fingerprints all over the screen. And it's fairly smooth when you go to wipe them away, and it's not very hard either. So it's not really a huge issue. When you put this into your pocket or something like that, by the time you pull it back out, all the fingerprints are usually gone. Now as far as the display goes, it does have a 6.7-inch HD Plus display. The resolution of the display is 1650 by 720, and the aspect ratio is 20.6 by 9. It's also got 500 nits of brightness, and the contrast ratio is 1500 to 1. So there is the screen. As you can see, it's pretty clear. Touch is pretty smooth. It's not blazing smooth like some of the higher end phones, but it's definitely good, especially for what this phone is. Very usable. The screen brightness is also up to its highest point, and it does have adaptive brightness. So now let's take a look at the screen as if you were looking at it through polarized sunglasses and see if there's any rainbow effect. So as you can see, there is no rainbow effect when you're looking at the screen. If you happen to tilt it down, which you're not really going to do because it's not going to be aimed towards your face, there is a little bit of a rainbow effect. But if you're looking at it dead on, even from the sides, there is no rainbow effect. So definitely a plus there. So as you can see, there's really not any lag when you're swiping through your pages. Again, it's not blazing fast like some of the other high-end models, but this is definitely usable. So on the front of the phone, we do have a 16 megapixel front camera that is capable of recording 720p at 30 frames per second video. If we take a look at it from the side, you can see that it is pretty slim. We have our SIM tray on the side here, along with our action button that you can use to pretty much open up any application, turn on your flashlight on the back, take a screenshot, so that's definitely nice. On the bottom here, we have our speakers, our mic, and our USB Type-C port for charging. On the other side, we have our power button that again does have the built-in fingerprint sensor with our separated volume buttons. On the top, we also have another microphone, and we also have a headphone jack, which is awesome. You don't see that very often on many phones today. On the back, we do have a tri-camera setup, and again, it's got kind of like a matte plastic on the back there. It also does come in 3 different colors, one which is the blue, there's a violet, and a black. We also have a 64 megapixel ultra clear AI camera on the back, and it's capable of recording 4K at 30 frames per second. Again, the phone does feel pretty nice in the hand. It does feel plasticky. It doesn't feel super cheap. It does have a little bit of a weight to it, which I like. The phone also has NFC and a headset-free FM radio built in too. So you can use it for contactless payments, and you can also listen to that FM radio without the use of a headset. Now, of all the UMIDIGI phones that I've ever tested, they do have a pretty weak vibration motor in it, and this one is no exception. You can feel the vibration when you're touching the side button or anything like that when the phone is in your hand, but if it was in your pocket, you might not feel the vibrations. Now, I've already set up my facial recognition and the fingerprint on the side, and the face recognition does seem to work out pretty quick. Let me show you. So the phone is locked. I'll just simply raise it up to look at it, and it unlocks the phone. And it seems to work pretty much every time I've done it. Unlock. Again, it's not the fastest, but for what the phone is and how much it's priced at, it works perfectly fine. So now let me show you how the fingerprint sensor works. And if you're having trouble with it, it's most likely because your fingers are dry. You might want to put some lotion or something like that and then redo your fingerprints. But if you just simply touch the side button with your finger, you don't even need to press in the button. It unlocks your phone. Again, it's not super quick, but for a budget phone, it works perfectly fine. So let's try that again. So again, I'm not pressing in on the button. You just simply rest your finger on the button and it unlocks. Simple as that. So now let's see what video looks like and how the sound quality is. We'll go into YouTube. So now let's see what the max video resolution we can do in YouTube. So it looks like we can select 1080p and the picture looks pretty good. Not bad at all. So let's turn up the volume here.
My judgments on the car based on my personal opinion, my firsthand experiences, and what I have read online with other Tesla owners, and I may be wrong on some of this. This is certainly my opinion, and I'm just reading information. I may have a few facts wrong, so please take that with a grain of salt. And Tesla, if you're watching this, it is just my opinion, and yeah.
So it only has one speaker that's on the bottom of the phone here, and as you can hear, it's not super loud. It's definitely adequate for watching things on your phone in a semi-quiet environment, but if you're in a louder environment, it might be a little hard to hear what's coming out of the phone. As far as the picture goes, picture quality looks pretty good. I really can't complain, especially for it being a $166 phone. I think it looks pretty good, especially if you're going to be watching YouTube videos or Netflix or something like that. So there's another little sample for the sound. If you're going to be listening to music, it does definitely seem a little bit louder than if you're listening to talk. But the speaker doesn't really have a lot of range to it. It just kind of seems very flat. So there's a little sample when you're listening to music. It does seem to be a little bit louder when you're listening to music versus voice. So that's something to keep in mind depending on what you're going to be using the phone for. And the operating system is running Android 13. So now we're going to see how well gaming works on this phone. We're going to start off with a first-person shooter, which is PUBG, and then we're going to move on to Asphalt, which is a racing game. So here I just want to show you that I do have the settings pretty much up all the way. Our graphics are set to HD, and that's the highest you can go on this phone. Our frame rate is set to high. So let's start up the game. So just looking at the graphics right here, it is pretty smooth. As you can see, there's no lag with me moving my finger around the screen. So that's definitely looking good so far. Everything's still running nice and smooth. The frame rate is also looking good. I don't see any skipping. I don't see any drop frames, even when you're driving in a car. So at least if you're going to be playing some first-person shooters like Call of Duty or PUBG, you should have a pretty decent experience. Alright, so now we're going to play a little asphalt racing, and again, I do have the graphics up as high as they will go. And the volume's also at 100%. So again, you saw how smooth it was, even with the graphics up as high as it'll go. There was no stuttering, there were no skip frames. It is pretty smooth. So again, even if you're going to be playing some racing or first-person shooters, you should have a pretty good experience on this phone. So gaming seems to be pretty good on the phone. Now let's check out the FM radio. So I got to turn this down because I don't want to get copyright striked. So that's a 99.9. It is playing pretty clear.
I always say, like, I don't like saucy stuff. I don't like condiments. Like, I eat a plain hamburger. I don't put ketchup on it or anything.
Oh, wow. So you can actually record?
Cereal with no milk. I'm not kidding.
Then he's not going to want ketchup on his
done it ever since he was a kid. Eggo waffles.
So we can get all of our radio stations without having to scroll through each one. So there's a list of all the radio stations around me. Go to our save recordings.
I'm not kidding.
Then he's not going to want ketchup on his
done it ever since he was a kid.
So that is pretty cool. If there's something playing on the radio, you can actually record it onto the phone. And then you can play it whenever you want. So, I mean, there could be a copyright there, but it allows you to do that. So that's pretty cool. I can't do it too much because, like I said, I don't want to get copyright strike. But you can clearly see how it picks out all of the radio stations that are around you, and then you can star your favorites, scroll through the list. Now, that is a pretty good feature. And it also seems to play in the background as well, so you can do other things while you listen to the radio. So now let's take a closer look into the settings, and I'll show you some of the things that are specific to this phone itself, like this little hotkey on the side here. It is in its light mode now. You can also turn on dark mode in case you don't want it super bright, especially at night. Here's the settings for the hotkey. As you can see, we have a double click and a long press. I've got the double click to open my flashlight and the long press to take a screenshot, but you can have it open an application, or you can have it do some of these preset things right here, which I have, again, the flashlight. So that's pretty convenient and useful. We've got our Smart Assistant. We have our system navigations where you can have the 3 buttons on the bottom, or you can use gestures, which I like to use because it's a lot quicker. We have screen record, screenshot, emergency rescue, and we have our gesture controls where you can take a screenshot with 3 fingers. You can use 3 fingers in to get into the camera, and you can also double tap to lock the screen. We have the DuraSpeed, which basically helps boost the foreground applications by shutting down applications in the background. You can turn that on and off. And then we have memory expansion. Basically what that does is allow you to add up to 8 gigs of storage to be dedicated as RAM. So we have a built-in dedicated 8 gigabyte chip for RAM, and then you can also use storage for RAM as well. And if you want to top off your phone, you can plug in that 18-watt fast charger into the bottom of your phone. And it gives you a nice little animation. And again, it does fast charge. Now, if you're wondering, the only way to charge this is using the USB-C. It does not have any wireless charging capabilities. As you can see, the wireless charger is saying that there's something wrong and it's not able to charge the phone. So let's put our phone inside of our case. Fits pretty well. It does have a little bit of a grip to it. Feels nice in the hand. As you can see, still shows off the color of your phone and like that smoke back. Doesn't add a lot of extra bulk to the phone, but does add some protection. We have our cutout for our fingerprint sensor and our power buttons, our volume buttons on the side, our action button on the other side there, and our cutouts on the bottom. I actually think the phone feels better with the case on it, especially when you're having to touch the power button for your fingerprint sensor. It's got that little cutout so you know exactly where to put your finger, and it kind of makes your finger go perfectly over the power button to be used to unlock your phone. And if we look at it from the side again, you can see it doesn't add a lot of extra bulk to the phone, and it also has a nice raised edge all the way around the front of the screen. So let's open up our SIM tray. So there, as you can see, it's got a little spot for a SIM card as well as an SD card. And again, you can expand that storage up to 1 terabyte. Now let's see how well your recorded voice sounds on the phone. So the phone is now recording. We're going to see how well it picks up my voice and what it sounds like in the playback. So the phone is now recording. We're going to see how well it picks up my voice and what it sounds like in the playback. Definitely not bad. It's good enough to voice some of your thoughts, or if you need to record something quickly for later on. So we know that the phone has 500 nits of brightness, and it does perfectly fine in my studio, but let's see what it looks like when we take it outside and have to use it in the sun. So now that we're outside in the sun, you can get a better idea of what the screen looks like in a very brightly lit environment. I can still see what's on the screen fairly easily. Let's open up Chrome, get a little light on here, and yes, I can very easily see still what's on the screen. And what helps a little bit is if you don't angle the phone directly towards your face, just kind of angle it down a little bit so there's not a lot of glare. The glare is what really kills you being able to see what's on the screen. But like I mentioned, just kind of angle it down so there's not much glare and you can easily see the screen a lot easier. So even though the phone is 500 nits, it should still allow you to fairly easily see what's on the screen, even in a very brightly lit environment such as outside. It also helps you be able to see what's on the screen to have a bright background versus the dark. So here it is in the white, and you can pretty easily see what's on the screen, but I'm going to switch it over to the dark and you'll see how much harder it is to see. So there is the dark theme, and it's definitely a lot harder to see because there's not much of a contrast. So here's a little video recording to give you an idea of what the audio quality is like. I'm recording in my truck right now because it's a little windy outside. I'm going to let you hear what that sounds like in just a second, but this is 4K recording from inside my truck. Alright, so here we are outside, still recording in 4K. Again, it's a little windy, so this will give you an idea of what the audio quality is like when it's windier outside. A little cloudy today. Hopefully the picture looks good. We'll look at it in post. And here is some audio and video recording from the front camera. This is only 720p, so it'll give you some idea of what the video quality is like, as well as the audio. The audio should be hopefully about the same as the rear recording because we're using the same microphone, but the picture quality should definitely be a lot different. And then here's some slow motion video that I took of a pigeon in mid-flight. And then here's some pictures that I took using the 64 megapixel rear camera. And then here's some picture samples using the ultra-wide lens. And then finally we have some pictures taken with the macro lens. I know the rocks in this picture look really big, but they're actually really small. This picture was taken of a very small flower pot, kind of like the one you saw from the 64 megapixel selection. And then here are a couple night shots that I took, one using the 64 megapixel lens, and the other pictures actually using the night shot option. There's not a whole lot of difference between the two pictures, it's just that the night shot option actually kind of tones down some of the brighter lights so you can get some more detail out of the picture. Alright, so now we're going to test out how long it takes to charge up this massive 5,000 milliamp hour battery using the 18 watt fast charger that came with the UMIDIGI phone. So I've got it plugged in. Here's the USB Type-C. I'm going to show you that the phone is totally dead. Plug that in here. And as you can see, the phone's battery is totally dead. So now I'm going to let it charge. We're going to charge to 100% and see how long it takes to do that. And just to show you, it is about 2 o'clock right now. Alright, so it is 3:28. It's been an hour and 28 minutes since we first plugged in our phone, and we are sitting right at 80% charge. So if you're only looking to charge up your phone to 80% from totally dead, it's only going to take about an hour and a half to charge up. Alright, so the time is now 4:40 p.m. and the battery just reached 100% probably about a minute ago. So from 0 to 100%, it's going to take about 2 hours and 40 minutes, which really isn't horrible considering you're getting a 5,000 milliamp hour battery. And to give you a little context, to charge an iPhone 15 Pro Max from 0 to 100% will take you about an hour and 48 minutes, and that battery is only 4,400 milliamp hours. And it's only that last 20% that takes a little bit more time than the rest of the battery because it is almost full. So charging does slow down. So now let me show you how cool the NFC is on this phone. Typically you'll have an NFC chip that does something specific like open up a link to a web page or do something with an app, or you can use it at a department store or a grocery store or something like that where their payment system allows you to use your phone to pay with NFC. Here I have a case that has an NFC chip in it that will automatically open up a web page when I put the phone over it. So let me show you that right now. You just take your phone, put your phone over the NFC chip, and it automatically opens up that web page. How cool is that? So now that we've had a chance to thoroughly test out this phone, the question remains, is it worth the money? I would definitely say yes. I think this phone has a lot of good things going for it, especially for the price point that they're asking, and it adds a lot of value. So now let me give you a summary of the things that I liked about the phone and some of the things I thought could have been a little better. Now, as far as the build quality goes, the choice to use plastic definitely helps keep the price of the phone down, and it does not feel cheap or flimsy in the hand. It actually feels nice and solid. So build quality, I don't think is an issue. As far as the sound quality, it only has the one speaker on the bottom. It will allow you to hear, voice if you're talking on the phone or if you're watching YouTube videos. It's definitely not the best speaker, but again, this is a budget phone. It's not high end. So again, it's not bad for the price point of the phone. Now, as far as the cameras on the phone, the front camera again only does 720p. It doesn't take horrible pictures and video, but it's only 720p. The main camera on the back does do 4K at 30 frames per second, and I do think the videos look pretty good, as you could see from the videos in the review. Now, as far as playing games on this phone, the games that we did play seemed to play flawlessly. Again, we played PUBG and some asphalt racing, and at no time did I see any stuttering or any lag, and the graphics seemed to be pretty good. So I definitely think you're going to have a decent time playing games with this phone. Now, as far as the fingerprint sensor goes, it was kind of hit and miss when I was using it. But again, if your fingerprints are dry, it will affect the fingerprint sensor. And that's not just this fingerprint sensor on this phone. It's pretty much any fingerprint sensor you're going to run into. But as far as the facial unlock, that seems to work really well. It seems to work every time. So at least they give you a couple different ways to unlock the phone if you're having some issues with the fingerprint sensor. For the brightness of the phone, it does seem to be pretty adequate when you're inside. If you are going outside in bright sunlight, you are going to have a little bit of a hard time seeing what's on the screen. But again, as you saw in the video, if you kind of just hold it down a little bit, you can see the screen a little better. But because it only has 500 nits, it's not going to get super bright, so you can see it very easily in a brightly lit outdoor environment. But I'd probably say about 90% of the time, the brightness of the screen is totally adequate. And again, the vibration motor in pretty much all the UMIDIGI phones that I've ever tested, it's pretty weak. So again, you probably feel it when you're holding onto your phone, but if the phone is in your pocket and you're kind of moving around and it's not pressed against your leg, you might not feel the vibration. So that's just something to keep in mind. The FM radio option is super cool. I also love the fact you can also record whatever you're listening to. So if you like to listen to radio and you want to save some of your favorite, shows that you listen to, you can record them right onto the phone. It also does seem to have pretty good battery life. I'd say I got around an hour per 10% of the battery, but also you have to keep in mind I was only using the phone on Wi-Fi and not cellular. When you're using cellular capability, it does use more of the battery, so your battery life in real life usage may vary. And for the charging speeds, it really wasn't that bad. Again, this is a 5,000 milliamp hour battery, and it's only using the 18-watt fast charger. And it did charge up to about 80% fairly quickly. It was just that last 20% that took just a little bit longer. I also love the fact that it does have expandable storage up to 1 terabyte using a micro SD card, so you don't really have to worry about running out of space for all your photos or files. So I definitely think you're getting a lot of value for your money with this phone. And if you guys do want to pick this up, again, I will be putting product links in the video description. And if you guys enjoyed the video, it would really help out the channel if you gave me a thumbs up and consider subscribing. What did you guys think about the phone? Will you be picking one up? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you all for watching. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.